to the Toku Portal podcast for Kaitou Sentai LupinRanger versus Keisatsu Sentai PatoRanger. I am Vashi V, and I am joined with...
Decade.
Yep. Mention.
The Little King.
And Rye.
And today we're talking about episode 20. Yeah, really short intro scene, which was smart. The new stranger departs from Paris in a silver and gold train. That's it. Gonna stuff his story into the actual rest of the episode. So then we get the opening, and then we come back. Oh, you know what? I forgot to get the episode title this time around.
Well, while you look that up, I just want to say I called it that he was going to be from France because they kept talking about French HQ.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did. Oh, there we go. The new Phantom Thief is a cop. So a gangler is holding a schoolgirl hostage for a ransom. Her dad pays the ransom, but of course the gangler refuses to release her. Lupin X arrives from his train. Yep. This is all going down near train tracks. The gangler is unable to harm him. Like, he's directly hitting him and he has some sort of force field. He decides to use his collection piece so he can do some damage, but while he's pretty much bragging about how awesome the piece is, X just steals it from his safe. And before the gangler retreats, X notices that he has a second safe, and he calls him a status double. The family thanks him, the daughter takes a selfie, which leads to the next chain of events. Thoughts?
This was all pretty funny. Also, I heard Shinpachi Shinko and thought immediately that is probably if it's not a deliberate Tokuja reference, it's a non-deliberate one. And the rest of it was pretty darn funny. Still don't know what a status double is. I'm sure we'll find out about that later, but I just love how doesn't give a fuck about anything and is just so carefree and stuff. I feel about the equal balance of moody Sixth Rangers to positive Sixth Rangers, but I appreciate more positive Sixth Rangers.
I could not agree more. I fucking love this dude. He's clever, he's smart, he's funny, he's really built. Like, I don't mean that in the sense you think. I love that they didn't use the classic, like, Six Ranger trope, like, they're incredibly fast. Like, as of late, I feel like a lot of modern Six Rangers have done that. Like, off the top of my head, maybe Shinken Gold, Star Ninja, or even, I mean, Ho-Oh Soldier, if you want to go that route. But this dude's built like a tank. It's just, maybe it's a shield, maybe it's a force field. Frankly, I don't care. I loved it. And I love that he's so carefree. Not just about being a thief, but about his identity. Although we'll get into that later. Just, I fucking love Noel so much, even at this point.
So I just like to point out that Son Goku kind of deserved to have his collection piece stolen if he didn't even notice Noel breaking into his safe. And yeah, I love how charismatic Noel is. It is amazing. We have had a lot of speed-based Six lately. Not too many tanky ones. We had Rokugo a few years back, and that was nice.
I had the Tokuja flashback as soon as I heard him leave. And that made me happy. I'm not a fan of Tokuja outside of the villains, but yeah, it was pretty good. I'm very, very curious as to what that gangler was doing prior to all of this, because that seems really interesting, personally.
How many people did he kidnap?
Right. To get to this point, how did he end up blackmailing a cop by kidnapping his daughter? I want to know that story. I get it. It's just a whole just random mobster moment kind of thing. But yeah, I kind details people. And also, if you hold your cash meeting bribe thingy on the tracks of on a train set of train tracks, you deserve all your grunts to be hit by a train.
Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't force like the guy onto the tracks.
Right. I kind of
I'm
expected.
surprised they didn't tie the girl to the tracks.
Like I kind of halfway expected it to be one of that cartoon moment where they're all on the tracks and kills all the grunts, but it launches the actual main villain into the city somewhere, and he just keeps driving through like nothing happened. That's kind of what I expected to happen. Um, I did like seeing his first flourish, for lack of a better term. It was a nice introduction to the character without being overbearing. Because while yes, it focused on him, it was very, very light and done and really quick. I enjoy that. It's kind of why I liked at least the character introduction back in Gokaiger of their Sixth Ranger, because it was quite literally him trying to get their attention. So it was just small little moments throughout the episode until he finally revealed himself. So the fact that even though that this was yes the reveal of the actual suit, it was still just one of those off you go kind of moments. It was really well done and made me intrigued by the character.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. So, yeah, she takes the selfie. Kairi sees Keiichiro reading a story in the newspaper about Lupin X. Kairi is just as confused. Keiichiro leaves after reading that the Ganglar is still at large. A charming young man sitting nearby tells Kairi casually that he's Lupin X, and to prove it, he does a series of flips. After which he reveals that he stole every onlooker's cell phone in the process, including Kairi's. He apologizes and returns them. Keiichiro arrests him, and yeah, they just leave. Kairi notices a calling card with his phone, basically saying that Lupin X is glad that he met Lupin Red, and says that he'll give him a present next time they meet. Yikes, that's not good. Thoughts?
He's totally flirting with him. Also, I love that the Noelle knows parkour, and I hope that they use that a lot. I will pay money for a unmorphed fight with Noelle spinning all over the place. I also like how Keiichiro gets his news from the newspaper. He's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the type to not have a phone, but still weird.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too, but another thing I love about Noelle, he's courteous, but cocky. That is not a combo you usually see, but he's cocky in that he's openly declaring his identity to the world. He's proving it by doing all sorts of parkour and shit, and I agree with the both of you. I want to see more of that. And then he's nice about it. It's like, thank you for letting me borrow this, and he hands them back like it's nothing. And I love that he did that just so he could place a calling card on Kairi's phone. And, oh my god, the fact that he knows who the Lupin Rangers are, I think at least, can play into a lot of fun stuff. But I will get to that later. Just right now, this little bit alone, it just keeps getting better for me. Every time I see him on screen, he just keeps getting better.
This was a great way to introduce him to Kairi. I also love Keiichiro, is reading the newspaper when Kairi overhears. It's like, oh, new Lupin Ranger, wait, let me see. And then the fake out with Keiichiro, he starts to walk off. He probably heard all the commotion internally, wait, what are people going on about? Oh, this guy is claiming to be a Lupin Ranger? Well, he's mine now.
I like the old school stick of the detective reading the newspaper. It's a nice touch, and it's one that they've used for Keiichiro in the past, and I'm glad to see that still continuing to be a thing. This was the perfect introduction for Noel. For me, this is one of those things that's really hard to do right without it being very, very forced as let's introduce a character, get the characters to meet each other. This seemed very, very natural with what little bit we know of, Lupin X beyond the fact that yes, he's a Pat Ranger or Lupin Ranger. Um, it gave enough information to introduce a character, establish the fact that he at least knows who they are. It builds the groundwork slowly with still showing off the character. Though every time he landed a flip, all my brain could think of was parkour. Every single time. I gotta stop watching The Office.
Well,
it was all I could think of when it happened.
Maybe you haven't seen The Office enough.
That's literally all my brain could register when it was happening. I did like the fact of Cage overhearing all the commotion and coming back and arresting him. I'm amazed he didn't ask any kind of questions as to why he was explaining all of this to Kairi.
He didn't see that part. All he heard was commotion. Turns around, someone is jumping around, claiming to be the Phantom Thief, and he stole everyone's cell phone.
Right. It's but as he was doing it, he was kind of it was clear that he was putting the show on for Kairi. With the way the crowd was angled and all that, it would either look from the outside that he was either doing this for Kairi or that Kairi was a part of it with the way the crowd was shaped. But that's
and
just
again, Keiichiro is pretty dense, so I'm not surprised.
I mean, this is true. But yeah, all in all, I loved everything about this, and the fact that he did it all just to slide the card. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, and from what he reveals later, it looks like he wanted to get arrested. So we cut to the station. Jim tells Hilltop that the three are interrogating Lupin X. At Cafe Girard, the thieves wonder what to do next. Umika wants to skip town. Toma proposes that they save Noel so they can learn more. Lupin X, Takao Noel, candidly tells the police everything about himself. He looks forward to being great friends in the future. Hilltop stops the interrogation and tells him that he's from HQ in France. Yeah, I'll just keep going. His badge reveals that he's undercover. Noel accepted being arrested just so he could basically have a tour guide to the station, not have to find it himself. Noel was originally a researcher of the Lupin collection, and he's pretty much the one who modified the police pieces so they could be used by humans. Wow. What can't he do? Jim alerts the others of a Gengar attack. So, what did you guys think?
That whole scene of Noel and the Pat Rangers being friends was hilarious. Also, Noel basically saying, "Oh, I got arrested so you could show me where the station was." I'm looking forward to seeing Noel get all under Keiichiro's grill and have Keiichiro flip out a little bit. Also, I am pretty sure that Noel also modified the Lupin Rangers pieces and maybe all of the Lupin collection pieces that are currently available for human use, which also works into his playing both sides of the game. So I'm really interested to see more of what he wants and how he's going to accomplish it. But he's also hilarious.
Yeah, I agree on both counts of that. I adored the interrogation scene. Just him not having a care in the world, just completely compliant, and they can't stand that. And I loved when he was like, "I let you arrest me so I could be escorted safely to offices." And Keiichiro gets so pissed that Tsukasa just sets a shove a chocolate in his mouth and goes, "Down, boy!" Oh my god, it was too good. I was so fucking happy with this. And yeah, I do agree with you on him maybe having something to do with modifying the Lupin Rangers half of things, since both sides are part of the collection. So who knows? And later on, of course, we know he knows Goody, which it doesn't seem like he has. Like we were talking about this earlier, he doesn't seem like he has many friends. Like I get the free spirit thing, but you know what? We'll get to it when we reach the end. But the point is, for now, I'm loving his humor and I'm loving what he has to do with the plot. So this was a good teaser for that.
To play off of the modifying the looping collection, we know that Scissors and Blade went missing for a long time. We don't know when they went missing. We also know that Drill and Crane didn't originally have a trigger. And the earliest that we saw those, they were already in possession of Ganglers. So either he hasn't modified all of the collection pieces, or he has some serious explaining to do later.
Is Noel helping the Gangler? Watch and find out.
He's undercover. It's the inception of undercovers.
If we didn't see them watching the footage, I'd make a joke like, he's also Dogranio.
That would be hilarious.
Oh wait, actually, we don't know
my
that he couldn't be Zamigo.
And you've added to a theory. Thank you, Rai. Because I'll get into a theory that I have that King had started to touch on. But yeah, apparently the one thing Noel can't do is find a police station. Apparently that is the only thing so far that he cannot do.
I think the implication was that it was just easier for him to let Keiichiro arrest him.
Oh, I know. I was running off the joke Decade made.
Oh.
Bad joke. I suck. But yeah, just his cockiness during all of this was amazing. Like I kind of had like Decade level flashbacks of whenever Decade would end up in a role and have that "I know what I'm doing" kind of moment. This is what that seemed like. That whatever, this is just a role to me. You can't touch me. Let's have fun.
I get the gist of it.
I mean, and it works really, really well for Noel. And I did like the fact that through all of them, logically speaking, Umika is the only one who had the right idea. If this was in real life, there is now somebody out who knows your identity. Get the fuck out of town. You're considered a criminal, and another criminal who knows your identity. This is literally what cops do for a living. They get other criminals to tell on other criminals, so they can catch bigger criminals.
I do like Tuma's idea of let's just break in and bust him out.
Right, because that's a fantastic theory of. Yeah, but I mean, then again, in theory, it is apparently either very easy to break in and or teleport into, depending on whether or not Ghost teleported in or walked in. So it might not be that difficult.
So, yeah, Jim alerts the others of the Ganglar attack. Outside the station, the thieves notice that Noel is free and he's working with the police. They follow. Zarudan, the Ganglar, challenges Lupin X. Noel takes the lead and Keisatsu changes into the golden PatoRanger X. The thieves show up after a while. Kaitou change. And they open Zarudan's empty safe. Of course, they didn't know it would be empty. Patron X assures Red that his secret is safe. Yeah. I didn't mean to write a bad pun, but I did. Hikaito changes into the silver Lupin X, and then we get his theme. Zordon uses his second collection piece to fly around on a cloud. Once again, he completely fails to damage Lupin X. I wonder if that's just an ability, or if maybe he's using a collection piece.
I would
Lupin,
think the latter.
yeah. Lupin X easily defeats him after stealing his second piece. So what did you guys think about the fight, the theme, the suits?
The theme are
The weapon.
awesome, and I like how everyone else is just standing around going, which side is he on? What is his deal? Can we even trust him? It was pretty darn funny. Actions with Kyrie and as well with the police. And his changers basically both collection pieces put together. Don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah, I loved it. Like, his morpher alone is cool. It's like twice the size of the normal versus changer. It kind of reminds me of Paradox's 99 weapon. I don't remember the name of it. The one that could flip from a gun to an axe. It feels a lot like that, and I do like that. I love how they both have like different versions of armor, obviously, with the different aesthetics. I adored the comedy with his like different intros for each side. I think it was the glittering golden police officer and the silvery solitary thief, I think it is. Either way, I loved it, and it just now occurred to me, but this particular monster reminds me a lot of like a Monkey King aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like the giant staff, the cockiness, the flying on clouds thing. That kind of reminded me of Monkey King.
It is very much based off of a mythological ape, and that's why I made the Son Goku joke earlier.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So that just made the fight even better for me. And just, of course, him being able to handle him no problem. I forgot to say, the fact that he uses a friggin' flip phone for the save cracker, I love that. That's just, it gives me a lot of, like, I don't know, maybe some Gokaiger or even Gal Ranger flashbacks if we're gonna look that far back, but it just reminded me of those, and I really loved it.
Alright. So, let's go over this now. Which suit looks better? Everyone get ready, because on the count of 3 I want you to say which one you prefer. 1, like, people are still have their mics muted. Yeah.
I can't decide.
Well, you're gonna have to say something.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Silver.
Lupin X.
Lupin for the win. Okay.
Is both an option?
No. Which one do you prefer?
Lupin.
Okay, I think I'm the only one who said gold.
Yeah, you are.
I'm sorry, Nick, but you're wrong.
I just like gold because it feels more unique, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I really
Gold
do
looks
like
an
his...
overcoat.
Yeah, and I like his shoulder.
I guess that kind of detected
pads.
me.
That's true.
But go ahead.
I do love how both sides are at this point just questioning whose side he's on. And I like that that's going to carry forward into the next episode. Neither side really feels like they can trust him. Yet he's still like, no, I'm on both your sides, though. You can trust me. Can we trust you? Who even are you?
Okay, so first things first, the character theme song, or at least when he is the silver half, is fucking amazing.
I forgot to say that. You are correct.
Like to me, it's one of the best ones that I've heard. Um, I noticed earlier in a set of forums that I looked at about the Lupin versus Pat X. Did anybody else notice their helmet? The design on the helmet for each one?
I think it's the same, basically.
Well, yes, but the top half for, say, Pat Ran X, the top half is in gold and is the cop hat. But the bottom half is silver and the thief hat upside down.
Okay, so I did notice that when he switches from
I
one to the
didn't.
other, his helmet flips upside down.
Yeah, it's the same thing with when he's Pat Ran X or Lupin X, Pat Ran X. It's literally just a flipped helmet. His visor just literally flips around.
Creative.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I'm like, I don't think I caught that, and then went back and looked at pictures. I was like, okay, yeah. Also, these suits look a lot better than the initial rumor. This is what I think the suit's gonna look like. Because damn, this is a lot better. I'm not entirely sold on him being invulnerable. I get it's let's showcase off the character. That's fine. But I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't continue to be a thing for a while.
It's his introduction fight. He has to look tough, but then, like, in a few episodes, the power will balance out again, and he'll be as vulnerable as the rest of them.
Right, and which I get that. It's like I hope that is the case because I could see this going poorly. I mean, this would not be, if it did, this would not be the first Sentai that made bad decisions.
Yeah, they'll have to bring him down to normal at some point. Maybe the collection piece he's using for invulnerability gets broken and or damaged, which will give him maybe some character development. I hope that happens eventually, but for now, he can be cool.
Right. Speaking of collection pieces, did anybody catch what the second collection piece was today?
I looked at it. I have no idea what it is.
It was the transformation orb for the Green Ranger from Hurricaneger.
Oh, I have not seen Hurricaneger.
It was the what is it? His Shuriken Ranger in the American version.
He's like Samurai Ranger or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, Samurai Ranger. It's the Henshin ball.
Yeah, I just did not recognize it.
I didn't recognize what the first one was though. It had a little watch looking thing. But yeah, all in all, I enjoyed the fight. I like the fact of everybody going, I don't know what's going on. It's nice to see both sides confused as hell. I'm not entirely sold on his VS changer though. It looks absurdly complicated. Other than that, just pure badass, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's like way more detailed than anything we've had in the past couple of Sentais, but it's actually like the way it's used is pretty simple. You just turn it once to change, and then you have to turn it. It's pretty much exactly like Parado's Gashat.
Right. It's just with the size of it and all that, with how it looks like it should be giant and blocky, and it does kind of look giant and blocky.
Yeah.
But the way he spins it and all that, it looks really good. It just looks overly complicated.
There's probably like a few lock gears to keep it from spinning out of control.
Yeah.
Or two. But let's see. Yeah, Gosh shows up, revives Arudan. Noelle calls her a status gold.
So, I forgot to mention something earlier. Someone asked what status double is. I think it's just what he calls ganglers with 2 saves.
Yep.
Based on this, that's based on this thing, him calling it the gold save for gold status. That's the most logical thing. Just what would who is it? Fucking doesn't Destro have 2 safes?
Yes, and
And
Zamigo.
right, and they're both gold safes, right? Or
Uh,
is that
I
Destra
think
might
Destro's
be.
is. I don't know about Domingo.
so? Would he be double or gold double status, or that's the point? That's the point. Confusing.
Uh,
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. Destra might have 3. I don't know. But
Where's the
yeah.
third one? I thought they were just on his shoulders.
Oh, is the other one on his back? I don't know. But yeah, Zamigo has 2 normal ones, so I guess he'd be a status double too. But let's see. Yeah, mech fight, X Train, silver and gold. Kind of just roll around and blast him. He has to change suits every time he changes which
We're not gonna get that full animation every time.
train he's. Yeah. It's just gonna be fun cuts to the other suit. Um, but yeah, Goody shows up, and he's happy to see his friend Noel. Uh, yeah, and then the thieves show up in their vehicles. Form Lupin Kaiser. X lends the LupinRangers 2 vehicles, Fire and Thunder. And even though they follow the same like voice conventions as the Patron and Lupin vehicles with the 2 different voice actors, they're actually trains. So that's interesting.
So,
They form Lupin Kaiser train. Go ahead.
actually, I can wait my turn.
Okay. Um, yeah, and of course they do the Ganglack bots.
I like how Kyrie basically says to Goody, "Fine, we'll help you, but you are going to tell us everything you know about Noel after this." It was interesting. The whole
Which is a fair trade.
a fair trade. I like the train thing of like constantly switching sides and switching directions, presumably. So it'll be interesting to see that get incorporated. The trains get incorporated into a mech eventually, inevitably. Fight itself was pretty good. I also love Noel's if finale catchphrase, basically like say adieu to your life. That's cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I love this. I mean, I know Tokuger isn't everyone's favorite, and everybody's got their preferences, but I love this regardless. I had so many good flashbacks to it, and just like the idea of him going back and forth and swapping between directions and suits is so clever in my opinion. And the fact that his like versus vehicle set is an entirely different like version instead of just like the dial fighters or the trigger machines. That's that's such a good way of like personalizing not just the character but his arsenal and his suit to match that character. And that is so clever and smart in my opinion because not only is it like good for that, but it's gonna get you more toy sales. Let's be honest, because kids, as many as Bandai has been pushing in recently, it's good. It's better in my opinion to have variety in terms of what types of toys you're selling. So the fact that now they're running 3 lines of toys, all of which have different functions, aesthetic choices, and combinations, is genius in my opinion. And the fight itself was so much fun.
What I really like here is that Power Rangers have a land vehicle theme, and the Lupin Rangers have an aerial vehicle theme. What does X have? He has trains. Isn't that a land vehicle theme? No, because train is elevated on tracks, so it's neither on the ground nor in the air. It's the middle ground between the two. It's a subtle thing that they don't point out, and it's incredibly clever.
Yeah, that is neat.
And again, we don't see him we don't see his train transform into its own mech or combine with the two other collection pieces, which it probably will. Again, they're showing restraint here. They're not giving us everything all at once, even for their new member introduction.
Like, I'm really hoping that they cut back the him going back and forth between sides of the train. Like, I get it for few episodes or whatnot. It's like, but I get the feeling it could eat up time that could be better spent elsewhere, even if it is just a little bit.
They're gonna cut down on it totally. The only times we'll see it is if they actually need to extend the episode by like 20 seconds.
But I did like the fact that they put the diagram of where he was in the train. That was a nice little touch that they normally don't do. So you don't usually get the schematic of the mech, even though it's just a train, but still. And it's fairly obvious that that would be the cockpit if when this becomes its standalone mech. Because let's face it, this has to become a standalone mech. It would be stupid to not do that. But yeah, beyond that, that's about all I have on that.
So, final scene, pretty short. The thieves enter Gerard with Goody, and Noelle is waiting for them. The thieves don't look very happy. Episode end.
That blank stare of theirs was hilarious. Also, I like how Goody doesn't even have a chance to who Noelle is before he's right there. So, next episode should be interesting. We might get some information. Then again, Noelle might just troll them and tell them half-truths. So, to see Noelle try to figure out Noelle's motivations. I doubt we'll get lots of answers next week, or even maybe any answers. That'll come later.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I do have one thing I like though. It was short, it was sweet, but when you saw him just sitting there like Kagure, you had one thought in mind. Holy shit, who is this dude? And I know we probably might not get a lot of answers next week, but I'm hoping we at least get some because this dude is the fucking bomb. He has kicked up this show to an 11. I'm not afraid to say it.
I disagree that we're not going to get answers. This guy has been stupidly honest since we met him. He was even going to tell the PatoRangers why he's going undercover as a thief. I expect that we'll get a clear answer on whether or not he is collecting the Lupin collection for the thieves or for himself, but he's still going to help them. I expect a clear stance on his part.
Okay, that's probably another good prediction.
I'm worried that it'll be we're gonna get an explanation of why he's doing what he's doing. He is all the LupinRangers gonna go to the PatoRangers, and it'll be a completely different thing. I have it being that who can you trust thing for.
I'd be okay with that if he tells each side what they need to hear and nothing
Right.
about the other side.
Right, which I mean that's so far being what he's done so far because he said, "Hey, I'm a thief." Then he told the cops, "Hey, I'm undercover." More kind of it was just enough to get each one of them off their ass. It's very well done and was while yes, it was really blatant and out there. It was still a subtle way to do it. But yeah, I'm very very intrigued into the backstory of Noelle, and he's been the only character in Sentai with that name, right?
X?
No, Noelle.
Oh yeah, totally.
Hey, congratulations, everybody! We have our first Noelle. Thank you. Thank you. That's about the reaction I expected to get. But yeah, all in all, it was a great episode. Does anybody want to get into theories, or do you want to continue with final thoughts and get into that?
Let's go final thoughts. Let's give it another week before we jump into Noel.
All right, Decade, you want to kick us off with final thoughts?
Yeah. My first time watching the episode, it was a bit much, and I was like, this is kind of crazy. But my second time watching it, I definitely appreciated it a lot more, and I'm liking Noel, liking the new forms, and I'm liking the mystery of, it's like as charming and open as he is, he's still very unsettling and secretive to me, and I kind of like that.
This show is much more interesting with him in it than without. It's really fun. It's really interesting, and the action is really good. So this was for me. It was a really good episode, and I'm looking forward to getting to know Noel more and seeing more of his antics as well as more of his motivation.
This was such a fun introduction. I had a blast with him. I am adoring Noel. He has kicked up my interest in the show tenfold, and I cannot. The only thing that I'm close to excited about than seeing him is seeing how the community reacts to him as he continues on with the show. But yeah, I cannot wait to see more of him.
This was a very on-the-nose way of introducing the sixth member. Like, here he is, right off the bat. It worked so well. Noel is going to fit right in with this show. Which, this show hasn't really changed much since it started, other than Destra going into his own investigations. So this is going to be really good for the show's development.
Like, I personally am a little disappointed that they didn't run the neither side knows about him being on the other side, because I felt that could have been played up very, very well. I get it wouldn't have been able to last long, but I would have enjoyed seeing that. Beyond that, this was a fantastic episode. I feel like even prior to him being introduced, this show was exceptionally amazing with both its story, its action, all of it has been really top notch. And I agree with King on it that he's ramped the show up a level that I didn't think it could go. Like, I didn't think I would get that excited during a freaking character introduction episode. They did an exceptionally very good job with this. And so yeah, that's about it.
Alright.
Do you want to do the closing, Rye?
Sure. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We definitely want to talk more about X here, but we need to wait for part 2 next week. So, in the meantime, join us for Kamen Rider Build tomorrow, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Adieu, and later, taters.
Thank you all for listening, and be sure to check out Build tomorrow, where I will finally make my glorious return to that particular show.
Dude, spoilers.
Yeah, I spoiled the podcast. Sorry, guys. That'll probably be the highlight, at least for my end. But yeah, if you guys can't make it, I'll catch you guys next week.